morning, friends. This is Laura with Potpourri of Life, the first Saturday of February. And it kind of is a little motivating. The sun is shining outside. It's starting to get a little warmer, but I'm expecting a few more colder days because we're in New Hampshire. That kind of happens. So it's been a while since I have done a cooking video. So I thought I would make a brunch type meal that we will eat throughout the weekend. We just refrigerate it or freeze it and take out what we want. It is something that is great for even like a lunch during the week. And why is it a brunch? Because we don't get up and eat breakfast. It's not our thing. But it is a breakfast type food, or for those of you who eat breakfast anytime, it can be a dinner. It's full of protein. So what I'm going to be starting is I am going to be getting the bacon ready. I've already prepared the bacon. I've cut it into pieces and stuff. So I'm just basically going to get this started. And then I'm going to be getting the sausage started as well soon. And I hear some of you probably thinking that sausage and bacon, oh yeah, this is going to be protein packed. Now for those who are carnivores, this will work for you. I'm not promoting carnivore diets, but it is something that you can have. I need to get a few other things. All right. So to get started, I'm going to get the bacon going. I'm going to get a plate set up so that I can strain the bacon while I continue baking the rest. And the other thing is when you're raising your own chicken, sometimes you get excess eggs, even though they're not producing as much as they usually are. I still have enough to do stuff like this if I don't want to sit back and freeze my eggs or dehydrate my eggs, that kind of thing. Because I've already dehydrated eggs. I don't want any more dehydrated eggs. So we're going to get the bacon started, and then in the back I'm going to start with my sausage. And once I get these things started, I'm going to tell you a little bit more of what's in here. I'll get that going.
Okay. Do you need help?
Yeah, if you want. I'll take help.
What am I doing?
You can get this going with the sausage and kind of ground it, and then as the bacon gets ready, throw it over onto the towel for me. Okay. Alright, so I got a helper. He does like when I make a breakfast type thing, but he also likes the other things I make. But this is nice and easy. It's going to be made into a casserole type dish. So what I have right now going is I have a pound of pork sausage, I have a pound of bacon, and I'm going to cube up some potatoes. Now you can use frozen potatoes, frozen hash browns if you wish. I'm not one to do that, so, but you know, that's up to you. I tend to use my own potatoes, but I do freeze potatoes. I don't have any in the freezer. Let me see, I gotta get a cutting board. Switch. Scooch back. So it's going to be a little bit busy. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to be cutting up my potatoes, and then when those are done, I'm going to throw them into the bacon grease. And for those of you who think bacon grease is horrible for you, no, it's not. It's actually really good fat. But, you know, who am I to judge how we all do things? I don't use shortening except for if I need a candle. So, and I used to use shortening a lot, but I don't anymore. When my kids were young, yeah, I think I poisoned my kids by giving them shortening in their snickerdoodles. It was the only thing that made my snickerdoodles taste good, but instead now I use lard, which is what kind of comes out of the bacon grease. So I'm going to change this a little bit so you can kind of see what's going on. I don't know if you'll be able to see me working on this. I'll get this out of the, this is the container I'm putting my potatoes in. And what I do, the recipe actually calls for about 28 ounces of cubed potatoes. So I don't know how many potatoes I'll do. Anything that I cut off goes right into the chicken food that I'm going to send out there. And yes, I keep the skins on my potatoes because that's what I do. Are you okay with that?
Yep.
I've always done it.
You want these like 3/4 cooked?
You
Or all the way?
I would do 3/4 cooked if you wish. It doesn't really matter to me. So he's asking me, do I want it cooked all the way through? And I believe the reason he's asking me is because we're also going to bake them. Is that right?
That is right.
So I like it cooked through but not burnt. That's why I didn't mind cooking it this morning, but I'm okay if he wants to help because it takes quite a bit off my shoulders and what I'm doing. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of potatoes. I think these are red potatoes. Use whatever potatoes you want, or use frozen potatoes that you would use for hash browns. Now I have not dehydrated any potatoes, but you can use those too if you want to rehydrate them. Honey, are you okay?
Just went.
Oh, that will happen. Do you? I gotta get a bigger one. You think? So what he is doing is, I had to get a screen filter. This will keep the grease from going. Many of you might have those. I do it because I don't like getting grease all over me. It's harder to get out of my clothes. And I like doing this project in the morning because today I plan on deep cleaning the kitchen. So that's what I'm doing. Are you all set there? I'm going to smoke up the kitchen with him cooking.
Throw that fan on.
Yeah, so if it seems loud, he has the fan. Now I'm going to tell him to keep the grease in there. A lot of times what I do with the grease is I just save it because we might be just having bacon, eggs, cheese. He puts it on the sandwich. I'll put it on a plate without the bread. And another thing that we do with it is we might cook a bagel in the grease too. This here is the lard after I did bacon a little while ago, and I use this in place of Crisco type shortening. This is much better and it's healthier. Look it up. So this is about the potatoes I cut up. It's about 4 cups of potatoes that we'll stir in there, and I'll do those in the grease. Change this a little bit. Sorry for any noise it makes. So we got a pound of pork sausage, a pound of bacon. I've cubed up. It said 28 ounces of frozen. I don't know if this tells me how many ounces. Sure, 40 ounces. When I do something, I go big. Alright, and we'll put a couple cups of shredded cheddar cheese or whatever cheese that you desire. I'm going to be using 12 eggs, and this is why this is a good thing for people who raise their own chickens. 4 eggs is one way in which we can use up the eggs. I'm going to be using whole milk. It's a half a cup of that. Teaspoon of garlic powder or a fresh garlic, which I'm probably going to grab a fresh garlic. Salt and pepper. And so basically, this is all I'm doing. Now I'm going to also I'm going to put those in another bowl. When you get done with the bacon, can you throw this in there?
Yep.
So the next thing that I'm going to start doing is I'm going to be breaking open my eggs. And I take the oldest first. And what you're going to be seeing me doing is I'm going to be washing my eggs because these have not been washed yet. And even though most of them are clean from the coop, I still like to wash them, and I had a little, I'll get a new one. Because I'm bound to find the other one in a little bit. So what I do is I wash the eggs and I crack them in a separate bowl. The reason is, first of all, if there's any eggshells in it. Second, if there is any blood in there, because sometimes you can get blood in your eggs. It's just part of nature. And so this allows me to check it first before I put it into the food. So, it isn't that pretty. Excuse me?
Okay.
Yeah. That one will be able to stay in the pan, but I'm going to be using this because as you take this out...
No, I understood that. I just didn't know if I should shut that off.
You're cooking them a little bit more crispy than I would like, but...
Take them all loose.
So by breaking them out, I can see whether there's shells in there, whether there's blood, and I put it into the bowl that I'll be using. I don't always have help in the kitchen, so I like it when he isn't here, and on the weekend I'm more apt to get help. Up to 3. Another reason to break your eggs separately, for those who don't know, is if you get a bad egg, it can happen. A lot of times it might happen if you have your eggs on the shelf too long, in your refrigerator too long, or you just got some bad eggs. And that could be because they've been outside for too long too. But we have been fortunate enough to have the chickens, putting them in the right place in a nesting box. So what do you do when you get an egg that's no good? Throw it in your compost. I realize some people might give it back to the chicken. If it's a bad egg, I don't. If there's blood in it, just a smidgen, I don't mind cooking that up for them. I do not give my chickens raw eggs because they already peck at the eggs as it is, and once they get that taste and that smell, they will go and peck all the eggs. So sometimes we get out there and the eggs are wet, and that's actually from their bloom. But other times we see a little peck mark, and we can't use that, so I'll bring it in and I'll cook that egg up for them. But yeah, we have a couple that kind of like get a little crazy. How do I prevent them from doing that? Is I make sure they have plenty of water. That seems to make a big difference. And that's why we have 2 watering systems, and we have ones that are warm, meaning we plug them in so they don't get iced up. Come spring, 2, 4, 6, 8. Come spring, we will unplug it. We do like the unit we're using because it keeps all the debris out, which is really kind of cool. So I get the eggs out of the water, and I wipe them down a little bit and then break them. And to some people it might seem tedious to wash the eggs. To each their own, but you know, not every egg is nice and clean. Like these are nice and clean. I'll still wash them. I will show you. Now that my hands are wet, I'll have to put this one in the refrigerator. Well, this has a little bit of goop, but it's not goop, it's just stuff from out in the coop. And sometimes they have muddy marks on it because they're running around in the mud. So yeah, if I am washing eggs and I touch the eggs and they're wet, I just wash them down and put them in the refrigerator because we're already taking the bloom off if your hands are wet. Maybe others don't believe me. Maybe other people don't see it that way. I do. So we're all different. Alright, I got 12 eggs all taken care of. Yay, there's 12 eggs. And that comes to, if you are making eggs from dried dehydrated eggs, this comes to about 3 cups of eggs. Let's see on the metric side here. 24 ounces, which is approximately 700 milliliters. I'm getting technical. I really don't care. It's 12 eggs. So, he's laughing at me.
Can you put these?
Yes, please put those in.
It's going to make noise.
Okay, I want to put an onion of sorts in there as well, and I'm going to get that garlic. Small kitchen, sometimes it's really hard to work together. I got this garlic holder the other day when we were over at Salmon Falls, not the other day, about a month ago. I love it. And it actually keeps my garlic fresh. And again, any skins and anything I cut off, I give to the chickens. And I know I have an onion of sorts here. I'm trying to think, David, what is this called? This is not an onion. It has like a little bit of a garlic onion flavor. Yeah, he's helpful this morning.
Is it scallion or not?
Is it scallion? No. I'll think of it. If I don't think of it while I'm doing this, I'll write it in. We just got up about an hour ago. And I'm tired, but I wanted to make sure that this got into the oven. So after we shower, at least I'm showering. I don't know if he's showering today. But we'll get in there and get the shower cleaned, the kitchen cleaned, and I have a few other things I want to get done for my Saturday chores. We decided not to go run any errands this morning because I don't want to. I really want to get this stuff taken care of. But we'll get all our chores done, and then my hope is to, hold on, I can't chop and talk because for some reason I like to keep my fingers. Now I want to get, David, can I have some milk?
Sure. Did you want me to get it?
I got it. Now it says about a half a cup of milk to add to the 12 eggs. I'm using whole milk because that's the only milk we'll use, and since we're both eating it, I'm finding that the whole milks are better for me. The farm fresh milk is best, and it doesn't bother my stomach so bad. And so we're using whole milk. I use cheese. I use the Cabot cheese because that's the only one. Excuse me while I get my goodies out here. Put a little bit of salt in it. That's the sea salt we use. And I put a little pepper. So I just grind them in. Whisk it together. Okay, I don't have this connected here. Let's move this a little bit. Whisk it. It's a shallot. Did you go look that up?
I did.
Alright. David, do you know where the dehydrated peppers are? Or no?
I have no idea.
I shall be right back. You guys, watch him. Make sure he's doing okay.
Right.
Alright, don't put any weird stuff in there.
Okay.
So I've got some dehydrated red and green peppers. So I'm going to throw that into my egg mixture. How much? I'll take the silica pack out so that doesn't go in. I don't know. Maybe a little more than that. Maybe about a quarter cup. Because David loves peppers.
Not.
David, I brought up some dehydrated peas. Would you like that in there?
No, I don't think so.
Why? It would taste good.
I mean, you can. Okay.
Okay, I have never put dehydrated peas or regular peas into these type mixtures, but I'm going to do it. Because I have them, and I'll just add another nutrient punch. And these are ones that I dehydrated this year.
Oh, let's see, you already have them.
Yep, I got it. And so what I'm doing is I'm letting the dehydrated vegetables soak in the eggs until I'm ready for it. And no, I'm not going to cook this. It's actually going to get baked. Alright, so we want the oven at 375.
Anything in there that needs to come out?
Nope, I already took it out.
Okay.
We have such a small kitchen with storage space that's lacking. Actually, we got plenty of storage space. I just cook too much, so I have too much stuff. So I'm going to get that preheated, and I got the pans out. I always wash them again when they come out because they've been sitting in there for whatever. And it's been a while since I've actually been doing much for cooking or baking because I've just been focused on some other stuff. Is that all set?
I really don't know.
It is.
Okay.
I have confidence. Now
It's
let
all
me
set
see if there's anything else. Alright, so like I said, it takes about 8 ounces of cheese. Now normally I would like to go to the farm and get shredded cheese, but I can't find it. So the next best thing is I use the Cabot brand. And I just like it because there's only, let's see if I can tell you what's in here. When I compared this to the other cheeses at the market, there are no additional things to it. So this is the best, more so if you are dairy intolerant. Sometimes that dairy intolerance is because of the additives that they put in there. But generally speaking, I can't handle a lot of things. The hard cheeses I can do, but again, I try Cabot or farm fresh cheeses. Alright, you ready to go? I would take this off the burner, yeah. Alright, I'm going to move this. Alright, you don't have to grease the pan unless you want to. And the reason is you got all this greasy stuff going on here that will basically coat this anyhow. So I am going to move the camera so you can see, I hope. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, everything's off? Alright.
Yeah. Except for the oven.
No, the oven has to be on.
Got it.
Alright. So you can layer this in any way that you desire. David, pot holders. The worst thing about cast iron pans is the handles are always hot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sausage and put this as a layer. And David, what you can do if you want.
I'm listening.
I know, I can't think and talk at the same time.
Okay.
You should know that by now.
I thought you did pretty well.
We've been married for 43 years. I still can't talk and do things at the same time. Or maybe it's because I'm getting older.
You didn't tell me what I was doing now.
Oh, I didn't tell you?
No.
You're going to break the bacon into small bits.
Oh.
And put that in here. So you can do that with your hands or not, unless you like eating large pieces.
Better go wash my feet.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Oops, there's some more there. So this is the sausage that I'm putting on as the lower level. I'm going to now add, yeah, that's the only way I can show you. Okay, I'm going to add the potatoes and onions and garlic. David, I might need your help to do this because it's hurting my wrist.
Okay. Just got me.
Here's a pot holder.
Want the rest dumped in?
I want all of them dumped in. Yep, and there's a little bit of, see, it was, my strength was going, so it dumped in. I'm glad he's here to help because cast iron pans are very, very difficult for me to work with my wrists, and so it hurts, so I let him take care of it. So we have the layer of sausage in there, yummy, and now we have the fried potatoes, and what else I put in there?
Sausage.
No,
You said
no,
that already.
in the potatoes when I did that.
Oh. I already told you, I forgot.
Oh, he forgot to. Anyways, so that's in there. Anything that I added in there is in there. So now I did throw in a garlic clove, and I think I'm going to have to help him. Can you move? I'm going to pause this. So now we're working together to get the bacon off. And we can use the full pound or not. And David, don't worry too much. It doesn't have to be little tiny pieces. I just don't want strips of bacon in here, unless you want strips of bacon. Did you try it to make sure it was good?
No, I took out one that was kind of burnt.
Okay.
You don't like it?
No, I don't like burnt bacon. Most especially if I've thrown it in there. Bacon scores! I really like how it turned out. So once he's done with that, I am going to pour my egg mixture over it, where the peas and the peppers have all been getting hydrated from the egg mixture. And you can see that the peas are getting a little bit more formed. They're coming out of their dehydrated state. Yeah. A lot of people use water to bring the dehydrated items up. But if I've got a liquid form that I'm going to use in a meal like this casserole dish, then I can just throw it in here because this is something that it can soak in. And that's basically what you're trying to do, is rehydrate it in. Almost done? Okay. Now I'm just going to mix this around. Here. And it is very much like a quiche. When I was talking to him yesterday, I said, hey, I'd like to do this, use up some of the eggs, and I'm craving bacon, so I kept my craving taken care of. So all you do is you take this mixture, just like you would quiche. If you've never made quiche, I think I have a video all set for that, and you just pour it around. Doesn't that look yummy? Does it need more? No. That's a very good question. So he's asking me if it needs more, and I'll explain why. I'm going to hopefully not make too much noise bringing this over here. Oops. I can figure this out. So it looks like it needs more. But what am I going to do? I'm going to add that cheese. So slowly bring this back, because it's going to make you dizzy if I don't. And I probably made you dizzy. So, take your cheese, and you can make your own. You can get blocks of cheese, whether cheddar or mozzarella. The recipe calls for cheddar, but you can use whatever you want. Sometimes my husband doesn't like that I use cheddar. I don't let it bother me.
I just like mozzarella better.
And then just even your cheese out the best you can. And the stove is ready, and I'm going to recruit my husband to come in here and put it in the oven. I don't know where he disappeared to. Would you put that in the oven for me, please?
Sure.
Oh, can you bring it up to the... I know. Oh, this is really heavy, the type of pan. So that's what it looks like before it's going into the oven. It's going to look pretty much the same when it comes out, but it's going to be delightful.
Cheese will probably be a little melted.
Yes, the cheese will be a little melted. Put the timer on for 35 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm going to change this. So I'll just kind of repeat really quickly what the recipe is. It's 1 part, 1 pound of pork sausage. If you don't like pork sausage, you can put another type of meat in there. You could also put in like steak cubes and stuff like that, something that you might put into beef stew. You can make this any way that you desire, whatever you have on hand. A pound of bacon, if you have that. I like bacon. Some people don't want to have bacon in their food. That's okay. Just pick out another protein source that you might like. 28 ounces of cubed frozen potatoes. I didn't count the potatoes, but it was about 4 cups of potatoes, and then I fried them. So cook the pork sausage, cook the bacon. Use the grease that it is being cooked in to cook your potatoes. So whether you're using frozen potatoes or whether you're using potatoes fresh that you've cut up. I added in to that mixture, I threw in one of these, I cannot think for the life of me, didn't you?
Shallot.
A shallot. He's helping me. So I put one of those in. The dried peppers and onions I put into my egg mixture. Alright, so I had 12 large eggs. I had half a cup of whole milk. Actually, I put a whole cup of milk in. Oops. It's okay. Mistakes are generally something that can actually be, make the meal better, so it'll be fine. And then I put a teaspoon of garlic powder. Actually, I didn't. I just put a regular clove of garlic and I added that into the meat. If it was powder, I would have put it into the egg mixture. It says 1.5 teaspoons of salt for those of you who like measurements. I just ground some whole salt into there. I grounded some ground pepper, a teaspoon. So you mix those ingredients together into your eggs. And then what I did was I put my dried peppers and my dried onions into that. Was it the onions? No, it was dried peppers and it was dried peas. And this is what I want to share. You can change any recipe that you get that looks kind of interesting, but it might seem a little boring. Now, I'm not a huge fan of peas, but putting them in something like this actually makes them more enjoyable for me because it is mixed in with like the bacon and the sausage as well as the cheese and stuff. There's not a lot of cheese. An 8-ounce package of cheese is not a lot. And that pan should make about, I'm trying to think, 3, 6, about 12 servings. And do you think it's going to be about 12 servings?
That's fine.
So that might be okay. So 4 servings today if we have it for breakfast and dinner. If we choose to have it for dinner, it'll depend on how our chores are going or if we have errands and stuff that we choose to do. And then we'll have it for breakfast tomorrow, but tomorrow I don't have to get up and cook it. It'll be ready. I'll just take it out and warm it up in the oven. You can eat this cold if you wish, like quiche. Sometimes some people like to eat it cold. I personally like it warmed up. So we could end up using 2 or 3 servings over the weekend. Then I'll put aside a portion for your work. Are you okay with that for Monday morning lunch?
Yep.
And then the rest I will put in serving sizes into the freezer. That way, if he wants that, he can have it. If I want it, I can pull it out. This is high protein. So those of you who are on a carnivore diet, this has a lot of high protein. The things that you might not put in there are the peas. You can also put broccoli in. There are so many things that you can do with any type of casserole like this. Is just put in what is good for your palate. If your kids don't like broccoli or spinach or anything, get it dehydrated, put it through the coffee mill, and just put it in there. And it will still get the nutrients in there. And yes, I do that. I actually put some of that stuff, I grind it up, like spinach, for instance. I can grow a lot, but I dehydrate a lot because I can't eat that much spinach because it makes me feel bloated, and this way I can sprinkle a little bit on top. Now the only thing I haven't done yet, and it's not in this recipe, is I will put paprika on top of all of this. So in about 10 more minutes, I'll have him take it out and I'll sprinkle some paprika over it, and it gives it another type of flavor and it gives it a little bit of color as well. So you bake it at 375. That was a 9 by 13-ish pan. one of my daughters gave me that for Christmas a few years ago because they all know I like that dark blue type color for my kitchenware and stuff. So, I mean, I fell in love with it, but it's really heavy for me, so I don't always use it, but he's home. He's here to help. That was him. I think I'm distracted. Oh, and then you bake it for 35-40 minutes. I'm going to first bake it for, you know what, David? I'm going to change this to 10 minutes. That way, when that 10-minute mark happens, I'm going to put paprika on it, and then I'm going to put it back in for 20 minutes. So every recipe that you get, and this is something that I share a lot, every recipe you get, whether it's in a real fancy book or whether it's something you find online, you don't have to go by the recipe unless you desire to. Because I go with whatever I have on hand, I just do whatever. I don't have frozen potatoes, but I had potatoes on hand. I don't always have fresh peas or fresh onions. I would use powdered items, but I have dehydrated the peppers. You can do whatever you want. And the other reason that I enjoy having dehydrated vegetables on hand is more so in the wintertime. I have a hard time finding what I'm looking for, even in the organic area, for items that are not already going bad. So I just prefer that in the summertime, if I'm able to, is to dehydrate. Yeah, I can't talk. Dehydrate what I can. I need a shower to wake up. And then just, that's how it can go. That didn't make sense. It's his fault. He makes me nervous. That's not true. I don't know, sometimes. So, I don't know if you got all that. Pound of sausage, pound of bacon, 28-ounce cubed potatoes or 4 cups, peppers, onions, dice them up, throw them in or dehydrate it. 2 cups shredded cheese. That I used cheddar cheese. Use whatever cheese you want. 12 large eggs. Wash the shells. Break them up in an individual bowl to make sure there is no yuck. And if you get one bad egg and it smells, at least it's not going into the other mixture. Throw it into the other bowl and keep breaking your eggs. 1/2 cup or 1 cup of whole milk. Teaspoon of garlic if you're using powder, or a garlic clove. 1.5 teaspoon of salt. I use real salt, so I grind it. It's not the table salt. And then a teaspoon of ground pepper. And I don't measure my pepper or salt and stuff. I just kind of go by what it looks. My granny taught me to cook like that. And so you cook the meat. As you saw, you put it in separate, and then you add the different ingredients. And then your egg and milk mixture, add in whatever you want. If it's dehydrated vegetables, let it sit while you're getting the rest of the stuff ready so that they're rehydrated back in. All right, and then you add the cheese over the top. And you bake for 35 minutes at 375 or whatever. Now, that's what's not on this recipe is paprika. I'm choosing to add paprika because I add paprika to all my egg dishes. You can make this ahead the night before without baking. Put it into your refrigerator. So those of you who do not cook on Sunday morning, there are some church people that women are not going to work on Sunday. So they could make this on Saturday night, put it in their refrigerator, and in the morning, let their husband put it in the oven. What it does is their faith allows them not to work on the Sabbath day. And I think that is very respectable. I can't find myself not working. I kind of work all the time, don't I?
Yes.
I think I work in my sleep because I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, bing, I get an idea. And then I write it down and go back to bed. So these are things that you can do. Make it now, get it ready, put it in portion sizes and freeze it, make it ahead, cook it in the morning. This is a great dinner that you can bring to a church supper or a family gathering or a group gathering where people can serve out their serving portions. And that's it. I will show a finished product when it comes out, and I hope that you're having a great day. See you in a bit. So we're back. We're taking this out before, oops, it's done. This is 10 minutes after. And so I am getting the paprika out to, ooh, this is looking awesome. Okay. Alright, can you put that back in the oven for me, please? So that'll go back into the oven for 20 minutes to finish cooking. But I'll keep my eye on it for a little bit. And what I'm doing while this is finished cooking is, one of the problems with making this type of meal, it gets everything greasy. That's why I did it before I started cleaning my kitchen, because I gotta clean it up anyway. So I've shared in another video, this is a homemade cleaner. It's 1 part Dawn to 10 part water. And it works, it cleans up all the grease really nice. And so this way, as that's finishing up the baking, I have a chance to clean up this mess so I can start getting my kitchen back in shape. So I'll be back when this is all done and ready to be enjoyed. Are you gonna be in it? Be right back. So the breakfast is out and it looks delightful. David, could you, he's going to bring it over to show, see how, no, you gotta lift it up. He does a good job, doesn't he? Doesn't that look delightful? Oh, thank you. So what we're going to do is we're going to serve it in some bowls. We do need to let it cool a little bit, but I think it's going to be really yummy. So, you know, just take a spatula like this. I got this. I did a party, and nowadays you do parties online, and you don't know what you're going to get. I did it for somebody else. This thing is humongous, but it works great for lasagna in these type dishes, or so if you're sharing with other people, because you can cut right in there. And no, you don't have to do anything fancy. I did this to support her. So, David, I don't know how much you're going to want. I think he left me. My husband left me.
I didn't.
All right. Let's see. Oop, it's breaking apart because it's not cooled. Can you give me the bowl? Well, at least you'll be able to see the inside a little bit. So this is what it looks like, and I think it just smells so heavenly. You want to try it? You want to try it? I'm gonna let Mr. Taste Tester try it.
That was your bowl, so I'll get me.
I'm gonna get this spoon. What's that?
That's your bowl.
Oh yeah, we have different bowls that we bought. Mine has a certain design around the corner, and his has dragonflies. So here you go. You get it in front of the camera so they can see you try it. He's over behind me. It's hot.
It's too
It's too hot. But you get a little bit of everything in there, and it's yummy. Is it yummy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Really good.
Other than hot, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One of the things that I wanted to share with you, we've cleaned up the counter a bit. I still have a bunch more. Every time I start cleaning on Saturday, I find more things to clean. One of the things I wanted to share with you is because I don't throw my eggs in the compost. What I do is I wash the shells out. So I've already washed these through the water. And then what I'll do, once I get a bunch of them, I'll take them and then I will boil them in water to make sure all the stuff is off it. And then what I do, one moment please. Is once that's done, I take them and I put them on a cookie sheet of some sort, and I might put parchment paper underneath so it doesn't stick to the cookie sheet. Or you can put it in anything that doesn't normally have things adhere to it. Then so that's dehydrating in the oven at that point. So you wash them, then you boil the shells, and then just until the white stuff might be coming up so that the shells are fine. Take those out, let them dry a little bit, and then you put them on the cookie sheet on parchment paper. Once that is done and it's cooled, you have calcium. No. Yes. So sorry. But this is calcium powder. What do I use it for? I can use it in some of my food that I might sprinkle in, like meatloaf or even an egg dish. I might throw that in. A lot of times I take a tablespoon of this into anything I'm making for the chickens, or I might mix it into a seed grain mix that I make for them. With them getting the calcium, they tend not to break my eggs. I don't consume it to not break eggs. I consume it because of the calcium content that I need for my body. I don't take a lot. Sometimes I'll put them in capsules, and I'll take a capsule if I know that I'm not getting enough calcium. But as of late, because I've been adding milk and cheese, the whole stuff that doesn't bother my stomach, and I take a little bit at a time, once my body is able to handle whatever I find that works, I don't need it as much, but I can make calcium capsules. But I've been actually taking like just a little pinch and putting it into things. You can put it into muffins, you can put it into a casserole if that already has enough stuff in it. But you can do that. And that doesn't take much. And you can do this with store-bought eggs too. It doesn't have to be the farm fresh eggs. So, you know, I know a lot of us talk about how good the quality of eggs are, but we're talking about the meat, the inside of the egg, that is more beneficial to us. Because of the way I feed my chickens, I feel, this is just my experience, they taste better. Plus, not only that, I never have an upset stomach with these eggs. Store-bought eggs, I have always been sick afterwards. So this has been a real blessing. But we try not to throw anything away if we don't have to. And this is how we do it. We dehydrate our eggshells after we wash them, and then cook them, then bake them, and then put it through the food processor or a coffee grain, you know, where it blends it down. Is it a lot of work? Yeah, it's a pain in the neck. There's no doubt about it. So I save them. But I feel good about this because nothing about the chicken eggs is going to waste. Now, if I get too much, I can definitely throw it out in the compost. But because the eggs are already broken down, these can actually be added in areas where you need this type of calcium type stuff in your gardens. Eggshells do not break down very easily, because if you go into your compost 6 months to a year later, you're going to see eggshells out there. Even if you don't break it down the way I do, you can still put it through the coffee grinder, break it down to the powdered mix. It'll make it a lot easier to decompose in your garden, in your compost, or whatever you're going to be using it for. So if you throw your eggshells away and you're trying to be a little bit more self-sufficient, you don't have to have a farm to be self-sufficient. You don't even have to have a garden. But if this is something that comes into your house, I don't care where you get your eggs, take those shells and dehydrate them and use them in places that might be helpful. Folks, I hope that you have a great day. The sun is shining. What's the temp out there, hon?
Warm.
Warm. That's what he tells me. He tells me cold, freezing, or warm.
That's all you need to know.
Did you get a temperature?
No, can't see it.
He's a lot of help. And sometimes he says hot. But it does. The sun is just coming in. It is so brilliant. So that means I'm going to try to hustle through our chores. And
40. That's not the same.
40 degrees out. Okay, it's in the sun on our deck underneath a shelf area. So maybe it's 38 out overall. But there's no wind, right?
Yes, there is.
Oh, there's wind. That's okay. But it's the warmth that's going to be coming into the house. So I'm really happy about that. Folks, I hope you have a great day, and may God bless you. Enjoy.